I am Kirsten Peters. I am a student at UNK and am currently studying elementary special education and early childhood development. And I'm actually not in school, well, technically in school right now. I am student teaching in Fremont for this semester and will graduate in December.
So I'm Courtney Albrecht. I'm from Kearney, Nebraska. I go to school here at UNL. I'll be finishing up my degree in leadership and communication and then a minor in psychology in December.
So just to start off, we decided that this was a quote that best described the work that we did this summer. Children are the world's most valuable resource and its hope for the future. Garden County, they are almost every town is along Interstate 80. Garden County happens to be a very lucky town that has the scenic byway that can take you to Chimney Rock. With that being said, it is off the interstate, so it doesn't get a lot of travel traffic. But that also means that they don't have as many crucial resources that a normal rural town would have. And obviously with crucial resources, that means that resources for your school can also be limited. So our work this summer was to help Garden County get some of those crucial resources to really make an impact on the children and give them the best that we can for the future.
So prior to Kirsten and I coming to Garden County this summer, there was a survey done by Nebraska Children and Families Association. So these are some graphs actually from that survey. So right here, the first graph on the right, how important is it to have enough childcare options in your community? So out of 161 people, 95% felt that it's important to have options, even in a rural community. And then the second question is, how important is high quality childcare in your community? Again, about 95% of people out of 161 felt that it's very important. So even in rural communities, that just goes to show you that it's still a big issue and it's something that needs to be addressed as well.
So besides working with Volunteers of America, Western Nebraska this summer, we were able to have the chance to also do some different projects in Garden County. So the first one here is the CHAMP Summer School program. That is a program run through 21st Century that the Garden County School District utilizes. And that provides before, after school, and then a summer place for the students to go, and Courtney and I help teach weekly lessons based on the theme that week. Then what our main focus was this summer was to perform interviews and focus groups with different community residents, asking 5 additional questions to figure out what kind of childhood experience are children receiving and what kind of quality do they want. 95% of them wanted quality, but quality has many different definitions. So we wanted to find out what the community wanted for quality. And then this was very stressful. I suggest if you're going to plan a carnival, don't do it like 3 weeks in advance. But we had July Carnival in the city park. It was a great turnout. I think that's something that could be repeated probably. And then we also took on the responsibilities of writing a weekly newspaper article. So we kind of just looked up random things pertaining to childhood. So, you know, nutrition, the word gap that can happen over the summer, just different early childhood topics, and we wrote a weekly news article about that to inform community residents. And then we also created 2 different Facebook pages. We created one for the Oshkosh Public Library, and then we also created one for the Garden County Communities for Kids program, which is the as Rachel would say, the guinea pig program in the Panhandle right now, getting activities / experiences for all children in a community. And then lastly, we visited the Chapel Early Learning Center. Chapel is about 30 minutes south of Oshkosh. I had the opportunity to take pictures of staff and the children there, just interacting, seeing what day-to-day stuff looked like. And then we also had the opportunity to help the new preschool teacher set up her room. And then we also spoke with Connie Lose about who is in charge of the Thomas D. Buckley Trust, who helps fund the Chapel Early Learning Center, and as well as help fund us this summer. Oh, still me. So my first point, this is my testimony about how great RFI is. It allowed me to understand how poverty affects children. I'm sure you know when you're in a poverty area, that means obviously you have high poverty. That poverty goes to your children. When children are not allowed to have such crucial resources handed to them, they can tend to lack in school. I was able to understand how much poverty affects the Garden County School District. I'm trying to think what Dustin said the IEP rate was. I want to say that the teacher did, between the two, close to 100 IEPs this last school semester, which is crazy high. I just want you to know that as a special ed teacher. So it was just amazing to look at why it could be so high and how we can work to change that. Secondly, becoming a better inclusive community leadership. Being out in western Nebraska, there are many challenges. And one of those challenges is walking into a community when you're 22 years old and everybody looking at you like, well, what are you doing here? Like, what do you know that can help our community? So I think I was able to learn that even though I am young, it is okay to walk into a community with your head held high and that you can make a change in that community. And then a real community. I'm from Scribner, which is about an hour and a half north of here, and we are very populated with traffic, and we have all the resources we need. And as I mentioned earlier, Garden County, unfortunately, does not have access to those crucial resources. So I think it really affected me by learning that I came from somewhere, and I was able to use that knowledge in a place that didn't have those resources. And I was also able to use the knowledge that we do in my community to try and help improve that community as well, up to a certain point. And then lastly, I am going to take this experience as I move forward with my teaching to look at every student as an individual. Sometimes I have the tendency to generalize, as I'm sure some of you all do too. But instead of looking at a group of students and saying, oh, there's 5 kids with behaviors, I already know what I'm going to do with these kids, I'm going to look at each of those kids and say, why though? Why are we having this behavior? Why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? So I think this was a great experience for me to kind of understand the behind the scenes that we all don't get to see.
So one of our biggest projects this summer was we conducted interviews and focus groups with community members, just getting a better understanding of what they feel about the current childcare options, but also what they feel is needed. So total, we conducted about 22 interviews. 2 of those were focus groups. So just kind of with these different events we held, the biggest impact that I think we had on the community was opening those channels of communication about the importance of early childhood resources. So whether it was, having a conversation with Senator Erdman, who part of his district is Garden County, about why it's important and how that helps community vitality. Or I think another great example is I was talking with one of the business leaders as I was saying goodbye to the community, and he said, I'm not a parent. I was never really interested in childcare, but having talked with you guys, I understand why it's important now. And I've started asking more questions and looking at other communities of what they're doing well and what we can do here. So that would be the biggest impact I think we made this summer. As far as how it's impacted me as a inclusive leader, I would say is just having a better cultural intelligence and that commitment to diversity. So for our Garden County, like we talked about, it is a higher poverty level. So for example, with the carnival, it was, okay, we need to be able to offer this so it's free, so that money isn't an issue for a child to be able to come and have fun. So just simple things like that, but that's crucial to being an inclusive leader, is getting all of those people involved. As far as rural communities, I'm from Kearney and I thought that was rural. And so living in Garden County, I really didn't think much of rural communities prior to living there. And being able to experience the family and community this summer, I really grew to love Garden County. And just getting to see the great leadership that there is and all these things that these leaders in the community are working to make it a vital community is just amazing. So I just think rural communities really are kind of going to be the backbone of America going forward, and there's so much potential for growth. And lastly, going forward, I would say the biggest thing I will use from this internship is just utilizing those problem-solving skills. So rural communities don't always have as much resources that you would find in a city, so you have to get a little more creative with those problem-solving and solutions. So just taking that skill with any opportunity or career in the future, as well as I would say just those people skills, whether it was working with kids that are half my age or people that are double my age, just being able to connect with people. And so this is Dustin Steiskell. He's a second grade teacher at Garden County Elementary School, but he was also one of the Community Innovation Fellows.
Hi there, my name is Dustin Steiskell from Garden County. This summer I had the privilege of working with Courtney Albrecht and Kirsten Peters on our Garden County Communities for Kids project. Throughout the summer we were able to accomplish a lot thanks to the university partnering with Volunteers of America, Western Nebraska. This summer we focused a lot on early childhood opportunities. So initially a lot of people in the community thought that was like daycare, maybe some thought it was preschool, maybe a few people thought it was our after school programs, but as the summer went on, Courtney and Kirsten did an excellent job of educating the community about what early childhood opportunities really are. It really is enhancing the whole experience for children from ages 0 all the way up till 8 or 9, about 3rd grade. Courtney and Kirsten were able to lead focus groups to not only educate people, but also to gain their insight of the early childhood opportunities we have in the community already. A lot of those people focused on childcare, which is great because we lack that here in Garden County. We only have one option. And through the focus groups, the surveys, the community has kind of voiced their opinion and said, hey, we would like to have more options when it comes to childcare, along with enhancing other early childhood opportunities. But that was our main focus. So what we did as a team is we led some core team meetings. The Garden County Communities for Kids is the organization. The core team is made up of about 20-ish people. We're lucky if 8 to 10 show up. And through those meetings, Courtney and Kirsten were able to present information to the team, and they have put together a plan, some objectives, and they've really gotten the ball rolling on what our next steps are as an organization for Garden County Communities for Kids. I believe the work we've done this summer is important because when you invest in early childhood, you're investing in the future. The best way to help out your future community is to invest in its young people, and I think we've brought that necessary awareness to this community. I think before this summer, it was kind of just like we can pawn our kids off on anyone and they'll be fine. Or they didn't trust a lot of people and then they would keep their kids at home. And I think through this, hopefully, we can do a better job of giving our children ages 0 to 9 better opportunities. Personally, this experience has taught me a lot of patience, not only patience with maybe the process of what it takes to make a change in a community that is strongly rooted in its traditions, but also to push me outside my comfort zone when it comes to working with people, as I worked with a wide range of age levels, from people who are older, people who are younger than me. And as you start to work with those people, you realize that we all learn a little bit differently, we all think a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, we are all working towards a common goal, and we just needed to find a way to get there together. So I think that was something that this fellow internship was able to provide for me. It was able to push me a little bit more. At times it was very frustrating, but at the end of the day, that's how you grow. So it was a good experience in that way. I think moving forward, I will take this experience and help it enhance not only my teaching career, but hopefully my level of involvement when it comes to my community. I've always wanted to be more involved, but this was able to give me a platform to almost launch, if you want to say that. And I've learned that change just doesn't happen. It has to be something that you put in the time and effort, and most of all, patience. At the beginning of the summer, I was all gung-ho, ready to get stuff going, and I was almost moving too fast. And I've learned that if you're going to make a change in the community, you got to let the community voice their opinions and thoughts and not just tell them what they need. So I think this has been a great 2 to 3 months. It's really shown me what it takes to be a community leader.
And this next video is Rachel Sissel. She was also a Community Innovation Fellow. She works for Volunteers of America, Western Nebraska, as the CEO.
Our fellows, Courtney and Kirsten, accomplished a lot this summer in Garden County. They worked with a number of different organizations and projects while they were here. Some of these projects and organizations included the UNL Extension Office, our Summer Champs program, the Oshkosh Public Library. They, of course, connected with Volunteers of America, Western Nebraska early childhood programs in Oshkosh, in Chapel, and also in Potter. They reached out to the Chapel Economic Development Director to see if there were projects that they could get involved with in Dual County as well. I would say that the impact that they've had is one of the most important things that they did for Garden County was to work and help coordinate and support the Garden County Communities for Kids Foundation's core team here in Garden County. And what they really helped us do was pull together the survey information and research that we're trying to put together to really understand what it is that our community needs in regards to early childhood here in Garden County. It was very important because without these young ladies, we would have not been able to do it in the time frame that we wanted to get it done so that we could really start working on closing the gap between what people want and the options that we have here in our community.
And then this is the last video for Rachel.
I think in Garden County, we do a really great job of being collaborative. We're sort of forced to because we're a rural community, but one of the impacts of creating an inclusive community and having inclusive leaders that this experience with the fellows has really taught me is that we have moved towards thinking in a broader way when it comes to the topics that we're discussing. For instance, we had an early childhood meeting that we were gathering together to talk about early childhood. And it went from speaking about resources in our communities related to early learning experiences to communication in our communities. And then it developed further into using businesses as a vehicle for delivering communication to the community. And I thought that was such a great conversation because of the way that it developed. It really showed us that we needed to think in broader terms than just one specific area. I think that my perception has been impacted as a result of RFI fellows in our community with the energy that they've brought to our community. I'm pretty sure that I could convey a message from all of the people that I've spoke to that everyone was so impressed with the level of commitment and energy that Courtney and Kirsten brought to Garden County. They were very dedicated to working with us, and we all felt that, and we're very appreciative. How I will use what I've learned from this experience in the future is that I will remember to say yes. Courtney and Kirsten brought a new lens with them in the way that they view Garden County and the way that we do things. And it was very helpful to have that new perspective. And so it's reminded me that we don't always have to do things the way that we've always done them. And so I'm going to work harder to say yes to new ideas. And I'm probably going to get Dustin to do the same. Thank you.
So we just wanted to thank RFI for this really great experience, and also just Garden County for an incredible summer as well. But did anyone have any questions closing out?
How much time did you spend at a most unlikely place?
It's hard with the hours, but we did visit every couple of weeks, definitely. Cynthia is incredible there, so.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, would you?
Yeah. So the most likely place is a restaurant / gallery in Llewellyn, Nebraska. It has artwork from 3 different people. They're all family. And I mean, there's woodwork, there's oil, there's watercolor. I mean, it is just the most amazing place. When we had our meeting with the rest of the RFI team, we said, you guys, we have to go here. And I think they really wanted to go to the Mark Ferrari coffee shop, but we were like, no, we got to go here. And I'm pretty sure we spent 2 hours longer than we were supposed to there. But if you ever get out west, please stop at the most likely place in Llewellyn. It is open from Wednesday until Saturday from
Like
9 to 2. Yeah. So you're kind of limited, but you could pretty much spend 9 to 2 there just looking at everything. Anything else? Yeah.
So I'm curious if nutrition or food access was part of the conversation around childhood development?
I mean, I think it's definitely part of the conversation, but there was other issues that we felt needed to be addressed prior. So for the summer, we were more focusing on that foundational piece. So through the survey, through our interviews, we had a community listening session, so anyone in the community could come and voice their opinions about the child care offered in Garden County. So getting those community opinions to get that investment from the community of what's needed and to make the community feel heard. So nutrition's definitely a factor. Part of that is addressed with, they have a free lunch program in the summer offered through CHAMPS, and they also have reduced and free lunches for breakfast and as well as lunch.
I also want to say that the Volunteers of America Western Nebraska in Llewellyn, they do get like a weekly Walmart supplies of food, and then they have like a food pantry. Anyone can come to Volunteers of America and grab some food. And then there's also a backpack program that a Methodist church puts on in Oshkosh, and it will send home a backpack full of food for those families that may not be able to afford it. So there are some programs that are definitely trying to help with the nutrition, but like Courtney said, mainly just the early childhood aspects were our main focus this summer. But we did still think about those.
You talked about, I'm not sure if you talked about that your awareness of diversity, increased, but when you gave examples, it was always about socioeconomic stuff. Is there any other way that you can talk about how they become more aware about diversity or differences broadly?
So I can speak a little more specifically of the interviews that we did. So the interviews, we were very intentional with trying to get a diverse perspective from the community. So whether that is, a single parent, maybe not a parent at all, high income level, low income level, different ethnicities, just getting a very broad perspective on what the community feels is needed for early childhood. So I know that was a specific example I gave of that diversity, but you kind of have to think about it for everything. And so that's kind of a little more in depth about that.